All right, everyone. It is 11:03 a.m., at least here on the West Coast. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I know there's still a few people logging in at this time and joining us. But today is April 24th, and this is the NovaBACKUP 17 launch webinar. And NovaBACKUP is the #1 rated single server backup software, and we're very proud of our latest release, and we thank you all for joining us here today. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm one of your presenters here today. My name is Sean Curiel. I'm the Channel Marketing Manager, and I am one of your resources here, marketing resources, and I'll be giving the bulk of this presentation. I'm going to be joined by Clay Levering, our SMB Product Manager, who's going to be giving a demonstration of the software near the end of our presentation. You can always reach out to our U.S. reseller partner team. I've got the email and the direct line up on the screen there for you. And I've also put our partner sales manager, Brad Segindel's information on the screen in case you have questions following this presentation. Of course, though, there will be a short survey that follows this webinar where you can add your own comments, suggestions for improvement, and so forth. So let's go ahead and move on to our agenda. On the agenda for today, we're going to be looking at the SMB product line and the core functions of the product, what's been enhanced in version 17, what it takes to get on the new version, our license model and our pricing, the benefits of being a partner with NovaStore, and, as I mentioned before, the NovaBACKUP 17 demonstration. So the core features and functionality of NovaBACKUP. Many of you may already be aware of some of these features, but we offer complete file backup, meaning full, differential, incremental backups, as well as system image. We offer disaster recovery, what we call universal restore, which is our bare metal disaster recovery, even in dissimilar hardware, meaning if, in the worst case scenario, you lose your entire system, you're able to recover that system, including applications, operating system, and so forth, and restore that to a machine. Doesn't even have to be the exact same machine. Data retention, keeping the data that you consider important. That means getting rid of data that's no longer necessary, but obviously keeping track of your most important backups and having some control over that. The security that you're going to need as part of your backups, including 256-bit AES encryption and password protection, and compatibility with a wide range of devices, including network NAS devices, SAN devices, tape drives, hard drives, external removable RDX drives, USB devices, and a number of cloud options as well. And these are the features that are basically common to all NovaBACKUP products. Support, of course, of all the latest Microsoft operating systems and technologies. I think that you'll find, I saw a couple questions come in this morning to our support team about Windows 10, and I know that once that operating system is released, we'll have a product that is there to support it. Advanced functionality. Talking about those of you who are using NovaBACKUP on servers that are running business applications and so forth. That's usually going to be our NovaBACKUP Business Essentials or our NovaBACKUP NAS products. And those products offer single file restore for virtual machines, obviously backup of both virtual and physical machines, virtual machine replication for VMware and Hyper-V. We support business applications like Microsoft SQL and Exchange, offering Exchange restore at the granular level. We've got functionality for that as well, restoring single mailboxes and so forth. So let's get down to what's been enhanced in version 17. We've got a variety of new reporting features. One of those features being our daily email summary reports, which can be set up for daily, weekly, or monthly reports that let you know the status of all of your recently completed backup jobs. It's a one-step email setup. It's going to let you know the type of jobs that were completed, the completed time, the number of files, and giving you a little bit more information about your destination devices as well. I've got a couple screen grabs here from one of those reports, and you can kind of see you've got the name of the backup, you've got the number of files, the completed size, the status. I think this one was one that I stopped prematurely, so it gives you a warning. Let's see, what else we here? We've got your backup storage summaries, which is a really cool feature that lets you know about how much storage you have remaining on your destination devices. And this is great for end users, letting you know exactly how much space you have to work with for your backups. But it's also a really cool feature for our partners that are managing clients and might want to set up a report or a notification to let them know how their client is doing in terms of storage. Email alert features. This is differs only slightly in the sense that you can set up these reports based on specific jobs and letting you know the specific status of those, specific status of the job. Send that report as a file attachment, send it out to a printer. You've got a number of options there. And it's really just as simple as entering your email address for that job, for the report. You can use the Nova Store alerts and do that, or if you want to get a little bit more specific, you can enter the individual SMTP information as well. Advanced scheduling. What I mean by that is that you can set up your schedules for your backup jobs, but everybody's got their own unique schedule when it comes to your office and when you're in and out of the office. And if you need to set up specific days where you're not going to be in the office, you can specifically have your backups avoid those days to create a unique schedule that's really custom fit to your organization. Additional enhancements, we've done work to make the adding and the selection of NAS devices easier than ever, both in multiple locations within the software. We've done a number of under-the-hood enhancements that have further streamlined it, creating a really rock-solid product, easily one of the most stable releases in our history. The central management console, we've made some adjustments and tweaks there to further improve that. If you are a reseller and you've got multiple installations out there in the field and you want to have a little bit more visibility into the status of those clients, we suggest that you check out the central management console if you're not already using it. Integrated support tab. Sounds like a simple one, but the ability to reach out to support, file a ticket right from the application just makes getting the help that you need easier than ever. Supporting file sync services. We really have seen an explosion in the last a handful of years in the use of services like Dropbox and Google Drive and OneDrive. And while by itself it may not be a complete backup, it's just another tool that individuals and businesses have to keep data offsite at different locations. And of course, we're going to include that capability of taking advantage of those products in our product as well. It's really as simple as installing the Dropbox application or Google Drive application, and it's going to appear in NovaBACKUP just as any other destination would appear. Our setup assistance is better than ever, I would say. We've put more resources into supporting our clients, and what setup assistance is we include those initial configuration of backup jobs within the cell of every single one of our server products. Okay, and we can log in remotely, we can look at your system and help you to come up with a backup plan and to get those initial jobs configured so that your backups are secure from day one. And that's something we're just not seeing that a whole lot of other backup vendors out there in the market are doing. So we're really proud of that service. Just some general version 17 product line changes. NovaBACKUP Professional is now called NovaBACKUP PC. We feel that that's just a little bit more specific as to what the product is actually primarily used for. We used to say NovaCare Basic, NovaCare Premium. Now we're just saying NovaCare. There's no different levels, and if you've got NovaCare support with NovaStore, you're going to ensure that you've always got the latest version, that you've always got the telephone, the email support that you need, the access to the materials that you need. We've made a few tweaks on our pricing to give additional discount and benefit to buying multiple years of NovaCare support with your licenses. And renewals of NovaCare can be performed anytime before the actual expiration date, excuse me, up to 30 days following the expiration date. So we've tried to make that as easy as possible for you. Moving on to getting on the new version. For individuals and businesses, it's really simple as visiting our website, NovaBACKUP.com, and purchasing new licenses. If you have valid NovaCare support, you're going to get a free upgrade via the application. You should see that a notification within the application, and you can always go to help, check for updates, and go about it that way. Partners, you have your dedicated partner portal at partner.novastore.com, where you can obviously purchase additional licenses, check your existing licenses, and if you've got clients with valid NovaCare, they're going to get that free upgrade as well. If you've got clients that are on old versions of NovaBACKUP, maybe they've got expired support, they've let that kind of go by the wayside, we have a new amnesty program that we're offering to those people that may be on really old versions of NovaBACKUP. But we want to get them up to the latest version of backup technology, quite honestly. So what is this program? It's an opportunity with old licenses and expired support to get the lowest possible cost and get on the latest version. It's going to come in at roughly half the cost of buying a new license. So this program's going to be temporary, and I don't have a final expiration date on it, but what I suggest that if you know that you have clients or you or yourself are on a very old version, that you have a look at this and check it out, because it's a great opportunity. And if you are a reseller, you can access that from the partner portal, or simply go to our upgrade page if you are an end user. So our license model and pricing. We've got our multi-server backup product, NovaBACKUP NAS, which works on all the major operating systems, Microsoft operating systems, supports your Exchange, SQL, all your major business applications. It's going to support virtual and physical machines, or the physical server as well as virtual machines. It comes with central management included, includes that NovaCare support and setup assistance. We've got our single server backup products, which is going to be NovaBACKUP Business Essentials and NovaBACKUP Server. The Business Essentials product is really what you're going to want to go for if you're running those applications, whereas if you just have a basic file server, our NovaBACKUP Server product should work out just fine for you. And as I mentioned before, NovaBACKUP PC is really for those with laptops, workstations, and so forth that want to have that data protected. As you see, NovaCare support is provided with all of our server products. It is available for NovaBACKUP PC as well. I think it's about $30 extra, so it really makes sense to have that extra layer of support for that small amount difference. And also, if you're a NovaStore reseller partner and you kind of want to take that extra step of really getting some extra training and learning more about the products, we offer a certification program, and once you go through that, we offer the ability to purchase our server products without setup assistance, because at that point we've trained you to perform that setup assistance. So that's an interesting benefit to look at as well. I'm not going to go into a great deal of comparison with the other products out there on the market. Obviously everybody's kind of has a unique niche that they fall into, but I will say that NovaBACKUP Business Essentials product, when you look at feature for feature, falls in at a price point which is very favorable when compared to the competition. And if you're interested in some more detailed comparisons, we're happy to get this out to you individually. So being our most popular product, NovaBACKUP Business Essentials, what can you do with one license? You can back up the single physical server that it's on. You can back up to a NAS device, for example. You have that bare metal disaster recovery capability. You can back up unlimited virtual machines on your hypervisor. You can replicate those machines to the same or separate hypervisor for VMware or Hyper-V, and or even multi-server vCenter environments as well. So there's really just quite a bit of capability that comes at that $599 MSRP price tag. The benefits of partnership with NovaStore. I think we probably have a mix of attendees on here today from existing partners to maybe some people that are curious about partnership to end users. So I will try not to spend a huge amount of time on this because this is really the kind of stuff we like to talk about one-on-one. But quickly, we give great margins to partners that are committed to selling NovaBACKUP products. Personal account management, remote setup assistance, as I mentioned, special partner promotions, our technical support. That's something I didn't mention. U.S.-based technical support. I'm sitting here in Agora Hills, and we've got engineering here. We've got technical support. Everybody's working closely together, and that is something that we find that people really appreciate, being able to reach out to local engineers, local support technicians, and not being sent to some call center by a different company, things of that nature. We've got a partner portal for our partners that offers a lot of great capability and resources, the certification program as well. And the benefits of certification being better margins, the ability to purchase without setup assistance, priority red phone support so you're not stuck waiting in a queue for long periods of time. Find a partner website listing. That's just part of our website where we add you to hopefully drive some business your direction. Extended NFR keys. We know that you need to have the ability to test our product in your environments as well, of course. Certified promotions, deal registration, marketing support, and really a lot of great benefits. So if you're looking at joining up with NovaStore, I suggest you reach out to our reseller team, and they can talk to you a little bit more about that. And at this point, we're going to kind of move on to the product demonstration phase of our webinar.
Should be able to see my screen here now. It's a Windows 8.1 machine. And let's go ahead and do a product demonstration. But before we do that, I just want to go take a minute to introduce myself. And again, thank you, Sean, for the other half of the presentation there. My name is Clay Levering. I am the Senior Product Manager for NovaBACKUP, NovaBACKUP.com, all of that aspect of our software. I am really happy that we are able to get you guys version 17, and particularly the stability and bug fixes and all the undercarriage work that went into this. The engineering team was very happy for this, and we feel like it's probably our most stable release in a long time. It's really, really rock solid. And thank you to everyone who's already gotten it and is using it. And if you don't have it yet and you have questions or you need an upgrade or whatever, obviously go talk to your partner manager. But yeah, it's very, very excellent. Today I'm going to do just a very brief demonstration of a couple of features that I think are pretty cool and pretty great with NovaBACKUP version 17. So obviously the look is just slightly different. It is now just a little bit more in line with the rest of our company branding and colors and things like that. But the things that I really want to talk about relate to, Sean briefly mentioned it in his presentation, were the summary reports and the easy SMTP. Particularly as partners, you guys, we know that one of the things that's really important to all of you is that you want to be able to report both to yourself and to your clients about the successes or failures of the backup jobs and what's going on in the client. And before, the only real way to do that was individual job logs, and then you'd have to go in and you'd have to put together a report or something like that. We definitely listened to that, and we came up with the idea that we wanted to provide a summary report, and you can configure a summary report. It's here in the log section underneath configure reports, and you can configure a daily, weekly, or monthly And each of these can also be printed to a default printer if you've got one configured there. But we wanted it to be really easy for you guys to be able to get a report of the last 24 hours, or the last 7 days, the last month, or whatever it is, and be able to provide that either to your client and say, hey, here's what your backup job has been doing, and here's the successes over the last week and the last month. We know that you guys, a lot of you are offering backup as part of a service providing opportunity, and that's, being able to report on that is definitely really critical, we think. So it's super easy to set up. You select the time that you're going to want to send the report. I'm going to go ahead and say it's 11:25 right now. I'm just going to say noon, and we'll just bump this guy up here. Sorry, my keyboard is a little weird. So I'm just going to say noon, and we'll come back in. We'll actually just move my system clock up in a minute. But we'll do a daily report, and you can just do the same thing as anywhere else in the application. Let's just do, I'm going to send it to myself here, and I'm going to send Sean a copy of it. And I'm not going to print it, but and I'm going to get to this next feature in just a second, but I wanted you to realize that this is all it takes now. All you have to do from this point forward in order to get alerts is give the application your email address. We understand that these days, SMTP server settings and configuration settings, those are all great and fine and dandy if you know what you're doing with a computer, or you existed 5 years ago as a technician or anything of that nature. But our clients and our customers, generally speaking, have no idea what their SMTP server settings are. If they even do know it, they don't necessarily want to type it in, or they're going to mess it up when they try. I know a lot of you guys aren't necessarily on site. You're using TeamViewer applications or something like that to help monitor and manage. And with this easy, what we're calling the NovaBACKUP Alert Service, or Easy SMTP internally, we've made it very easy for you or your client to just, hey, I want this alert and I want it at this time. Here's my email address. Go, and we take care of the rest of that for you. Obviously, it's a service that we're providing, so there's policy and stipulations that you agree to, but the service itself is, we're basically just making it so it's super hyper simple to get emails out to you guys, from the application, and that's something that we, I hope that is super. I hope you guys like that. And again, if you go into the SMTP settings, you can see that it is NovaBACKUP Alerts. You can see that it's going to come from noreply@novastore.com. You don't really get to change anything over here, and if you want to test, you can just pop your email address in and hit test. If you still want to do custom SMTP, and we know that there's a lot of you guys out there that maybe there's security concerns or privacy concerns or whatever it is, and trust me, please know that we understand if you don't want to use it. SMTP is still fully configurable. It works the exact same way as it always used to. Now you just get the option of making it easier, and it is, the easier option is the default setting, so you're not going to have to tell clients to go in and change the box. Just tell them to type their email address if they want to report, and they're done. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save on that, and all the reports will send at the same time. If you want to get daily reports and monthly reports and weekly reports, you're going to end up getting them at the same time. And if they fall on the same sort of interval where the daily report is also the same day as the monthly report, you will get 2 reports. You'll get the last day as well as your last month. You're not just going to get the one consolidated report. That way it makes your reporting or your billing to your customer or client that much easier. So then we're going to go ahead and just set up a very quick backup job here. I wish I had some file sharing services set up on this particular machine, but I don't. I'm just going to grab my downloads folder here, and actually, I don't have a whole lot of stuff here on my machine, but yeah, let's just grab my downloads folder. Let's say, and my system state here. So I'm going to grab my downloads folder and my system state. I'm going to give it a name, and I'm going to say demo backup webinar. And let's save it over to, actually let's go ahead and create a network device real quick just so I can show that off. Go ahead and get a network device going, and we'll just call this AG Tarot U. That's our kind of home drive here in Agora. All right, and what I just did there was I added a network device, and if you guys aren't using these, if you're not familiar with them, these are our the network devices are our way of allowing you to predefine a NAS drive or a NAS destination or something like that, and it allows it to show up in the Backup 2 tab here. You can see that Backup 2. So I don't need to worry about things like retyping that password 100 times. I can just come in here, click, I'm going to send it to AGTerra1U, and I'm going to name it, I'm going to go ahead and name it Webinar Backup, and that's it. I'm going to save my job here real quick. I just want to save it, and I'm going to go ahead and schedule it too. Let's just say run as logged in. Let's do this in about 1 minute here. And I'm just going to let it run on schedule here. It's going to run one time, and it's going to run in about a minute. But and then I'll show you guys what the summary report looks like after that. I see a couple of questions here real quick on the summary reports. Are summary reports and alerts available for VM machine backup jobs set up through the virtual dashboard? Alex, I do not believe that the virtual dashboard backups are included with the summary reports, but I've heard that request already, even just once today, and I think I will put that into my engineers' ears and see what it would take to get that in place for us, maybe in a 17.1 or a 17.0 bug fix or something of that nature. And that way you guys can get those virtual dashboard results. So real quick, I just want to make sure that you guys, you can see that it did just fire off the backup job. You'll notice that it is backing up to that NAS drive for me. It is backing up. It's grabbing my system state, doing all my open file copy and VSS stuff there. And then I'm going to, before I go and show you the summary reports, I want to show you that we've just made it a little bit easier for the disaster recovery jobs to use those pre-configured network devices. But give us just 1 second here. Let's get this backup job finished and complete. One question that we just got was if the header of the reports, can you customize the header of the reports so you can distinguish which clients the report is coming from? You cannot customize the header itself, but one thing that we did want to do, and I'll make sure you see it when I pull up the summary that comes off of this machine, is that we included the host name of the machine that was that the report was generated from. And that was, we definitely thought about how can we get that as a customized sort of thing and an automated way. The easiest way that we found was just utilizing the host name of the machine that generated a report. So if you do have clients that have unique host names on their servers that are generating the reports, that's going to be able to solve that problem for you. It's right there at the header, so it'll be very, very quick to understand where each individual report came from. We'll give it a couple more seconds here to finish up, probably about 20 seconds. But actually, there's another question while this goes. Does it back up even the file is open, and how about the permission and ownership for the file details? Oh, okay, that's a great question. So NovaBACKUP does back up. We utilize Microsoft Shadow Copy Service, VSS as it's commonly known. You can see that here in Settings, and you can see both of your questions. One is the enable open file backup, and the second is the backup security and permissions. So ACLs are stored with the file unless you specifically tell it not to, as well as by default the VSS service is utilized to grab open files. Now with that said, keep in mind there are, because we are using VSS, there are limitations on VSS itself. That means that the drive in question that is being backed up, you need to, the drive itself needs to be NTFS formatted. And then even on top of that, there are certain applications. The one that comes to mind the fastest is MySQL that actually do not currently support the VSS service snapping their database files and things of that nature in a reliable way. So if you are running a Postgres or MySQL, I don't think Mongo would be affected or impacted, but if you are running one of those, that check with their documentation, see if there is any support for VSS. If there is, then we're happy to play with it. If there's not, and you're dealing with something like a MySQL, what I have done for clients in the past is utilizing the custom commands section of the backup job. I will create a pre and post script to utilize something like the MySQL dump application to toss out the SQL file to a destination and then include that destination in my backup job. That was really technical for a partner webinar, so I'm going to move on to showing off disaster recovery real quick. So I'm just going to launch the disaster recovery, and because it's the first time, it's going to ask to install these tools. In case you aren't aware of what these tools are for the mounting and converting of a NovaBACKUP DR image into VHD or mounting it as a drive letter in your machine. If you install these tools, in order to do one of those things, you will need to reboot the machine, and then you can start doing the mounting and the restore. Otherwise, you don't need to reboot at all to utilize any of the other stuff. So just going to head into backup real quick. I'm going to go into next. Wait for it to grab my drive information. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to grab that entire machine, and I'm going to browse. And this is where you can see that we have a new section here, which is set path from a user device. And if I drop down there, you can see that I do have my NAS drive already configured and scheduled there. So if you hit that, and now you can see that it has all of my path configured, and you can see in the access section that it's already pre-populated my username and password. And I'm actually going to let this go ahead and start, and then I'm going to cancel it so that we can see what a cancellation job looks like inside of the summary reports. So I'm going to head back to questions real quick while that spins up for a second. Kevin Alloway asks if you can set up alerting and notifications via the CMC. No, that functionality, feature and functionality has not yet come to the CMC. We're looking into making the entire user experience of that CMC a little bit better for you in that sense, so stay on the lookout for that. If it tags the domain suffix, then I can distinguish. Okay, I believe it does. More questions about how it's tagging the host name. I am not 100% positive on whether or not it grabs the domain suffix, but we will find out shortly when I trigger that summary report. Mark Schneider is asking questions regarding the warning to install version 17. Absolutely. Glad that was asked. I would have forgotten it otherwise. So there is currently a warning regarding NovaBACKUP 17 and regarding upgrading to NovaBACKUP 17. And that warning is specifically for any customers that are currently utilizing in 16.5 either the first backup or the CITAS cloud backup destination. Both of those companies and any of our XSP service providers depend upon a separate component of NovaBACKUP's product offering referred to as the NovaBACKUP storage server in order to provide that cloud backup service. That product, in the last few minutes of engineering before the release, we found that there was something that we did not want to go to market with but we felt that it was acceptable to allow the NovaBACKUP product itself with warnings to any customer that might be utilizing those services to go out the door. We are working very, very diligently on getting that product ready to go and over to our service providers, First Backup and any of the others, Citas and any of the other XSP providers, if you are one. If you do not use either of those services, I would thoroughly recommend upgrading to version 17. There's nothing else wrong. There's nothing else of issue, and it only impacts customers that are utilizing those services as a destination. So I hope that answers your questions. If you guys have any more questions about that, please feel free to contact your partner, and we'll talk about it. And I understand that there's some questions surrounding it and definitely concerns. But I can let you know that if you're not utilizing one of those services, you're very, very safe. So, all right. So I went ahead and canceled that DR job, and so now you can see that we do have the two different jobs there. One's successful, one's canceled. Let's go see what minute did I configure this for? 12:24. So I'm going to bump my system clock just real quick to 12:23. Let's see, 23. All right, so I'm just going to bump that to 12:23 p.m. And then we should see that that summary report fire off here very, very shortly. I'm going to go grab my email and make sure that I have it pulled up here for us. So let's see. Any other questions while I wait for that email to go through so that you guys can see the summary reports? I see there's another one about CMC being able to restart the service on remote clients. That I believe is now fixed in version 17. That bug rings a bell to me. If it's not, let me know, and I will take a look at it, and I'll have our QA team go to town. But if there are any other questions, I'm happy to answer them while we wait for a few minutes. Okay. Well, I did go ahead and get the report, so I'm going to go ahead and switch back over to my primary desktop. And you can see here that I do have the NovaBACKUP daily report. And you can see that right here, that machine was not part of the domain. It is just a local machine. I don't know whether or not it's going to report whether it reports the domain aspect of the host name. I'd have to actually go and check that out. I think it might actually, but I'm not 100% sure. You can see that this is the NovaBACKUP daily report. It reports when it went through. You can see that we have the demo backup of the webinar. We have disaster recovery summary, so you can see that they kind of split each other up. You can see where the destination is being sent to, what the success rate of it was, and all the different aspects, files selected versus files completed. One thing that we definitely changed in this version is how files selected and files completed look or report. Previously it was reporting in a way that I don't think customers were generally expecting it to report. It was actually reporting as to the successful number of files copied, even if it was a changed backup based on the configuration. However, now it's actually reporting specifically what it tried to perform during this backup. You can also see that it's got the start date and the end date, so you've got the times listed there. And this here method is scheduled versus manual. So if your client kicked off a manual backup or something like that, you'll be able to see it in there. You can see the DR stuff there. And something that is new, part of the backup storage summaries and things like that, this is new to 17 as well, is one thing that's really important, I know for you guys, that if you're not on site every day dealing with that particular drive, each report that's sent is going to include a storage remaining at the time that the report was mailed. So if you are running like a daily or a weekly or something of that nature, you would be able to very easily see when the client is running out of space. So there are a couple other questions here. John Moore says, review retention of full and differential backups. John, if you could clarify the question on that full differential thing, I'm not 100% sure what you're asking for on that one. Raul asking if the mail could be customized. No, at the moment, no, that is not a possibility. It is definitely something that we feel would be nice to have for you guys, but it's not a customizable template at the moment. We might look into that going forward in the future. And another question from John Moore: what if you name the backup job as the client you were backing up to it? Yeah, I mean, so again, there's a lot of questions about naming the backup jobs or trying to find out which client it was being sent from. Absolutely. I mean, you can see here that demo backup webinar, that was the name of the backup job that I sent out, that I had saved. A number of different things. We felt that the host name was very important, and maybe that was enough in our minds. And if you guys want other ways of doing it, or client customization or something like that, these are all great feature requests that I encourage you to forward to your partner manager, because this is new to us. We'd love to make it even better. We feel like this is pretty great, though. One other aspect of the summary reports and reporting in general, underneath the logs tab itself, we have also updated the logs viewer. Now the logs viewer does match the visual elements and everything like that with the other logs. You can see that it does have a little bit different information here. We talked to a few of the clients and checked to make sure what was most important to them in these fields in the base logs, and we kind of came up with these answers. You can see that these are filterable results. So if you did have anything like that, for example, I want to see my files that got backed up versus I don't. That all still works the same way. And now as with 17, you also have, if you do print this log, or you have it being sent to the printer by default, it will actually print not just a text file. It'll actually print the composed version of that report. So a little bit nicer looking there as well. And then finally, I think this might be maybe the last technical question here from my side, and then I'm going to pass it back to Sean so he can wrap up anything if he has anything for you guys. The last question here is John Moore, is how long are differential backups held, and do they follow the latest backup? So differential backups, we are very lenient with how we define differential backups. One thing that we do is we depend, NovaBACKUP depends very heavily on the archive bit, the Windows archive bit setting within a file. So on any particular file, if you go into its properties and you head into advanced, you can see that this little checkbox here says file is ready for archiving. If you've never known what that box does, what that does is that tells applications like NovaBACKUP that the file itself, if that is unchecked, that file has been backed up in its last full backup. If something changes about that file, if I were to make a modification, if this was a doc file and not an installer, you would see that this checkbox returns and it goes back to being checked. We depend on that. We depend on that archive bit, is what it's referred to. We depend on the archive bit in order to determine which files are included during a incremental or differential backup. So we're very lenient in how we let you configure your backup job. So if you have one backup job that includes a bunch of folders, that's your full, and you have a differential backup that runs however often you want, the differential is not necessarily following the full backup that you have configured. what the differential backup will be doing is, based on the file selections that you have in that differential backups configuration, it will check the archive bit. And if the archive bit has been unset, it will not touch it. But if it has been set, it will go ahead and back it up. And the difference between a differential and an incremental is that an incremental backup will actually uncheck that box again, whereas a differential backup won't. So that's a really technical answer. Really, I glossed over a lot of the complexities behind it, but it's also really important to help understand how to best create your backup policies. And I think that's something like our red phone support or our setup assistance, or our if you guys aren't that familiar with the backup configuration or backup policies. I know Sean spoke about it a minute ago, but we do have setup and install assistance when you buy the NovaBACKUP BE or server application or bigger, and you actually get on the phone with a guy who sits 100 feet away from me, and I can I can walk him through it or help him understand it or get on the phone with you or anything like that. Or generally speaking, they already know these kinds of answers and configuration settings. So the setup and install assistance is really a great deal if you aren't 100% firm on configuring backups, and we know you guys have a lot of other things to do. And then a question about grandfather backup templates, things like that. Dennis, go ahead and shoot that feature request over to your partner manager. And again, we're always looking for ways to make the application better, and we think we have a couple different ideas, and I think grandfather's on that list, probably near the top. All right, so tossing this back to Sean and signing off. Again, guys, thank you very, very much for your time. And if you have any other questions for me specifically, you can either shoot them to me directly or you can send them over to Sean. Probably easiest to get them to Sean so that he can make sure that it's getting to the right person in case I'm super swamped, which happens a lot. So sending it back over to him. And guys, thank you again.
Unmuted.
Okay, folks, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up at this point. We've gone through a number of questions. If you have additional questions, you'll automatically see a survey at the end of this webinar. Feel free to type in comments or questions, and we'll definitely have our team follow up with you on a one-on-one basis. Again, we've got our contact information up here on screen. You can always email partner@novastore.com with some of those feature requests, as Clay had mentioned, or reach out to us individually as well. Again, I'd like to thank you all for joining us today. Yes, the presentation recording will be sent out to everybody, and if you'd like to get a copy of this slideshow as well, we can get you that PowerPoint file. Wish you all a great day. And thank you for using NovaBACKUP.